Hello everyone, how's it going? Elliot here again. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the new BittBoy. Now you might be thinking, I only saw you upload a video a couple weeks ago on the new BittBoy, and that is true. In terms of hardware, this new BittBoy revision hasn't changed. We've still got the same 700 milliamp hour rechargeable battery. The battery used in this is the same that you find in a original Game Boy Advance SP, which means in terms of future upgrading or changing the battery out, obviously there's going to be plenty of them. We've still got the same 2.4 inch IPS display, which is pretty good. In comparison to things like the Clockwork Game Shell, there is a little bit of a difference, but obviously that is a device which you're paying triple, if not quadruple the price for. So obviously this thing features a headphone jack, which is something that it has against things like the Odroid Go. So the box I've always found is quite a cool little design. Inside we have some instructions which says please read before using, find the micro SD card in package, plug it in and power on, wait 2 to 3 seconds, click R button to switch the menu, volume is select in A and B and brightness is select and TA or TV. So one of the things I mentioned in the last video is there wasn't any instructions in there, so maybe they've taken the advice on board from that. Obviously this is just a piece of paper, it's not a very high quality thing, but it's nice enough that they've done this. Also in the box they've included a micro SD to USB and an 8GB unbranded micro SD card. Going further in, we can find our console. Here it is. It looks exactly the same as the last one. The only other thing in the box is another little box, and in here is our different cables, which as I mentioned is a VGA and a micro USB. So the BittBoy is an incredibly sleek design. I've always thought it was a very, very aesthetic console compared to things like the Odroid Go and even arguably the Clockwork Game Shell. This thing just looks stunning. It does charge using the included micro USB cable, and you have an option for video out using the included VGA cables. Installing ROMs on the BittBoy has never been easier. Simply plug in the included micro SD to USB into a laptop or computer. Several different partitions will open up. Just open up the device folder named main, and inside there you'll find another folder called ROMs, and it's as simple as just dragging and dropping the files into the relative folders. After that, you can take out your SD card and plug it back into the BittBoy, and now we can segue on to having a look at the BittBoy's updated software. Turning the BittBoy on and you immediately see the wide variety of different emulators that you can play. So I just installed a new Game Boy Advance game, so why don't we check out that one first, since that's probably the one that most people are going to be interested in. So just go ahead and open up the Game Boy Advance emulator and press A. You're then greeted by Game Boy Advance screen bezel and then the native resolution in the middle. To turn this feature off, you can very simply just press select and restart, and that will open up your menu. Go into graphics and sound options and just go over to scaled 3.2 and then press select and select again, and then you'll have the scaled but not native resolution display. Also, to turn the volume down, you just press select and use these different functions to turn brightness and volume down, which is obviously in the included instructions. As far as actual gameplay is concerned, the BittBoy runs pretty well. Unfortunately, it's not absolutely excellent, but what you've got to remember is that this thing costs £28. When compared to things like the Clockwork Game Shell and even the Odroid Go, this is exceptionally cheap for how well this thing works. Obviously, there's a lot of different games to play, so let's go ahead and have a look at a couple different ones. I should probably remove the film on this thing so we can get a slightly better representation of the image and display by looking at it raw, and wow, that does actually make a big difference. So the speaker in the BittBoy isn't exceptional. That being said, it does definitely do the job. You can definitely see here in this Mega Drive game that the emulation is all pretty much playing pretty seamlessly, to be honest. I'm getting absolutely destroyed whilst looking through the viewfinder, which isn't ideal. To get through the menu at the top, you just press reset. You've got different settings going on. Let's have a look quickly at skin. So here's a Zelda skin. Let's go ahead and see what this one's like. Wow, that is quite nice. Let's have a look then at one more ROM, and we'll go over to Game Boy and Game Boy Color. Obviously this thing played the Game Boy and Game Boy Color games in its previous revision, so I'm not going to be too surprised here if it works well. So the games obviously play at its native resolution for a 1:1 pixel ratio or resolution, and it looks very, very nice. It plays seamlessly. I've played Link's Awakening a million times, and wow, does it play very, very well. There isn't a single bit of latency on the keyboard. The speaker sounds great. There's no slowdown, and yeah, it just looks absolutely great. Although, if you want to play it in a slightly more familiar view, just press select and reset, scroll down to video settings, and where it says upscaler, you can change that to 1.5, go down to apply and save, back to game, and there we go. That looks a little bit more familiar. So yeah, there's not a lot of screen tearing. Link's Awakening had this kind of screen tear naturally, even on the Game Boy, so it's definitely not unusual to see that. So one more thing I want to do as well is just show you the save state on this. So let's go over and get the sword in Link's Awakening. Speaking to the owl takes a little bit of time. So once we've got our sword and we go over and kill this little dude, let's go ahead and click select and R. And we can go down to save state and to just put it in slot 0. Then go out of here and then go back into it and select an R. Then you can go over to load state and press A, and it will get you exactly where you were. So that is pretty much going to conclude the video then for the BittBoy. Thank you very much, by the way, to BittBoy for making this video possible and sending this thing out to me. I'm definitely a big fan of the work that they're doing. I think one of the biggest selling points for the BittBoy is the fact that the company itself, BittBoy, clearly has some sort of a passion to make this thing good. They could easily whack a $100 price tag on this thing, but they don't. It's a third of that price, and there's continued software support from the engineers. They're always asking for the thoughts of the consumers, and they obviously take them on board because this thing is getting closer and closer to perfection. I really hope you have enjoyed this video. If you would like to pick up a BittBoy, I'll leave the links to their website and AliExpress in the description below if you want to check it out. Leave a like on the video. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. You can also pick up my t-shirts in the links in the description below, as well as my hats. This is the mixtape t-shirt. It's a really cool design done by Lines of Thought. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next video. Peace. In terms of some of the more expensive devices in a similar category, such as the Clockwork Game Shell. What just happened?